As you say, when may I be at peace, that's the ultimate goal. And there are things that produce peace: balance, acceptance. May I peace, may my heart remain open. Think about going into any conversation with a family member, with a loved one, with a stranger in the hardware store. Keeping your heart open, that's from where you see. You see colors more richly, you hear things on more levels. And then, may I awaken to the light of my own true nature. That's out of small mind, getting out of your ego, and the light that lives within you, that splinter of the infinite that resides in every single person. And then being healed, well, that's your path. That's your purpose. And then being a source of healing for all others, that's letting the Spirit of God shine through you and touch people around you. And you can write it down and carry it in your billfold, and just, you think about someone. You know how much I enjoy saying that for someone I don't, quote unquote, like? Or if someone has irritated me, and I just go, and I picture that person and I say, may they be at peace. It is so neat. I can get on a Jaguar for like 20 minutes. I'm doing nothing but saying this prayer for it. It's so beautiful.
Well, of course, we believe so strongly in the power of prayer, and it has so many other benefits. One of which does work as a psychological glue. There's nothing more precious than getting together as a family before your meal, before you resolve a conflict. I cannot think of a smarter thing for parents to do to set a tone and a mood and an atmosphere than to get everybody together. You're coming together to saying, we're going to do our human best to solve this issue. We have some tools in our toolbox that we're going for, but at some point, we're going to let go and let God.
I read an article the other day that Christian had said that really made me think about this, and that is that sometimes in our faith, we really do forget that sometimes all that somebody wants is for you to just simply be there. Not to fix it, not to, put them in the car and take them, try to make them feel better. How important it is in family to, if someone's having a really hard time, just knowing that you're physically there. And how often her faith had gotten in the way of that, where she didn't know what to do for the person, so she felt like she needed to stay away from her and just pray for her, or go over there with the idea of fixing it. And I think there's a way to stand in the gap between you and somebody else, but sometimes it's important to just sit there and let that person know that you're there for them, to do whatever, to towels for you or go pick up some groceries, and that we do forget that stuff is important because we're so bent on trying to fix the person.
I remember one night on the road, you and I had really been into it, and I found out through one of our band members that you had a problem. I was hurt to the core. And when I came to you, I came into your room and sat down and said, it really wounds me that I'm your mom. I have this missionary zeal to save the world, and my own kid didn't come to me with your problem. What is this about? And you said something to me that changed me forever. You said, when I come to you, you always give me advice. You're always desperate because you love me so much to fix me. And you said, I just wanted somebody to just listen. And from then on, I would catch myself. I would remember that moment. And when you would come to me with something, I would just, if I had to bite my tongue, if I had to just keep my mouth closed. And it was a gift I was then giving you. And I'll share an intimate story I've never told before. Dan Scott, our pastor at the time of my illness, visited our home for the first time, and I was in a fetal position, curled up in bed. And I was so out of it, emotionally, physically, every which way. And when he pulled his chair up to my bedside, I rallied a little bit because I thought, this is my pastor, one of my closest friends on earth, too, and he's going to give me some silver bullet here. I'm going to hear some magic word because Dan has such a depth of compassion and he understands me. And Dan got big old crocodile tears in his eyes and he said, I can't fix this for you, but I am your friend and I will be at your side about this whole journey. And he reached over and he took my hand and he just cried with me. And in that, I felt this strains of peace. I felt his honesty. I felt a connection with him that I had not before, because we tend to deify people, whether it's our pastor, whether it's our parent, or
Sometimes you have to get down in the muck with somebody, and sometimes you have to be willing to lower your standards of what you think is perfect, and sometimes you have to be willing to say, this is not normally the way I would do this, but just like Jesus, he went where he was needed, and he was an introvert, extrovert. Sometimes he meditated, sometimes he was wherever he needed to be. And that's a perfect example of that.
When I was depressed, the best thing that anybody did for me was a hug. Not advice, not counseling, not proselytizing, not comparative stories when I felt the way you're feeling now, this I did. Not all things shall pass, a hug. End of story. 1994, when I had gotten my heart all busted up and Pop came to see me in New York, and he brought Banjo.
our dog.
We were in a taxi. He put his arm around me. That's all I remember. And of course, I'm having to pick up the poop in New York, which was an event.
Banjo.
Kind of an event. But it's just about, that's your compassion.
And also that this gift you can give someone is your personal time. I know that I'm not as ambitious anymore because I know that for me to be Elijah is just to be there. That your physical being there is key. You can't just call someone on the phone and tell them what to do and give them the answer. You have to be there because life is what happens during all that stuff and planning for and trying to accomplish. And you're right, sometimes that's what can lead you into the light.